Welcome back to CIA Declassified. In the 1960s, the agency received an intelligence report that sent a shiver through Langley. The Soviets weren't just tapping phones, they were allegedly tapping the human auditory nerve using nothing but radio waves. They called it the V Effect. We call it the birth of the voice-to-skull era. To understand the V effect, we have to look at the science of the Frey Effect, discovered by American scientist Alan Frey. In 1961, Alan Frey discovered that the human ear can hear certain radio frequencies. When pulsed microwaves strike the area around the cochlea, the rapid thermal expansion of tissue creates a pressure wave that the brain interprets as a sound like clicks, buzzes, or even words. A quote from a declassified scientific intelligence report. The Soviet research into the V effect suggests a capability to induce sound within the cranial cavity of a subject at distances exceeding several hundred meters without the requirement for receiving equipment, end quote. The CIA's Office of Scientific Intelligence tracked Soviet laboratories in Leningrad that were specifically testing pulse-modulated radio frequency fields on animals and human prisoners to see if they could transmit complex speech. The agency was so concerned about this silent sound that they launched Project Pandora, we have an episode on that here, to study the effects of low-level microwave radiation on the staff at the U.S. Embassy in Moscow who were being bombarded by Soviet signals. A quote from Dr. Milton Zaret, a consultant for the CIA. The Soviets perceive the human body as an electrochemical system that can be manipulated from a distance using the electromagnetic spectrum, end quote. By the 1970s, the CIA estimated that the Soviet Union was spending over 100 million rubles annually on psychotronic research, which included the V effect as a primary tool for psychological warfare. The V effect relies on the thermoelastic expansion of brain tissue. Each microwave pulse contains a tiny microscopic explosion of heat that vibrates the bones of the inner ear. CIA documents reveal that the agency considered using the V effect to convince foreign leaders that they were hearing the voice of God or their own conscience in an attempt to influence their political decisions. The V effect is most effective at frequencies between 200 megahertz and 3 gigahertz. At these levels, the signal can penetrate most standard building materials, including wood and brick. During the late 1960s, the CIA conducted secret room tests where subjects were placed in shielded chambers and exposed to modulated signals to determine the speech intelligibility threshold. One declassified report mentions that the V effect sound is often described by subjects as coming from behind the head or inside the jaw rather than through the ears. The Soviets experimented with frequency hopping to prevent the US from jamming the V effect signals, making the voices almost impossible to block without heavy lead shielding. The CIA's Technical Services Division attempted to build a portable V effect generator for field use, but early prototypes were too large and required a massive power supply, often overheating in minutes. The Moscow signal incident, where the U.S. Embassy was beamed with microwaves for years, is cited by many researchers as the first large-scale field test of the Soviet V effect. In 1974, the CIA analyzed a Soviet paper titled The Biological Effect of Microwaves, which detailed how modulated signals could cause a subject to become disoriented or experience involuntary auditory perceptions. The agency eventually concluded that while the V effect was scientifically real, using it to transmit clear, persuasive speech was much harder than simply causing annoying clicks. CIA declassified reports from the Advanced Research Projects Agency show that the American scientists eventually replicated the Soviet results, managing to transmit the numbers 1 through 10 via microwave pulse to a human subject who heard them clearly without headphones. Internal CIA memos from 1976 describe the V effect as a possible non-lethal sabotage tool, suggesting it could be used to disrupt the sleep cycles of enemy diplomats by playing phantom sounds in their bedrooms throughout the night. A quote from Dr. Alan Frey. Frey himself once remarked in an interview, I could stop a person in their tracks with this. If you can communicate with the brain directly, you can bypass the senses entirely. It's the ultimate inside job. End quote. The CIA discovered that the V effect worked even on people with profound nerve deafness, proving that the signal was vibrating the skull and the cochlea directly. It's COCHLEA. Directly rather than relying on air-conducted sound waves. By 1978, the agency was investigating the use of V-effect technology as a psychological trigger, attempting to pair a phantom sound with a specific drug-induced state to see if they could create a conditioned response in an asset. When you look at the bioeffects section of the Soviet V-effect files, the redactions are massive. Entire pages of black ink where the, quote, long-range test, end quote, should be. The heaviest redactions occur in the subliminal command logs. Speculation suggests these bars hide the results of tests where the CIA succeeded in planting trigger words in a subject's mind using the V effect. The theory is that the black bars cover the names of American citizens who were used as target practice during the 1970s. Some speculation surrounds the satellite deployment section. Conspiracy theorists believe the redacted text describes a joint U.S.-Soviet agreement to never put V-effect transmitters on orbital platforms. The theory is that the black bars hide the fact that the voices could theoretically be beamed to anyone, anywhere on Earth. There is a persistent theory that the redactions hide the permanent buzz, strictly speculation, but some believe the V effect caused permanent brain lesions in test subjects, and the black bars hide the disposal or institutionalization of these individuals. Some speculate the redactions hide the frequency formula. The theory is that the CIA found a specific God frequency that induces instant religious fervor, and the bars hide the mathematics to prevent other nations from using it as a holy war weapon. Conspiracy theorists often point to the Havana Syndrome connection. The speculation is that the redacted V-effect files contain the exact signature of the modern-day attacks on diplomats, proving the agency has known about this weapon for over 50 years. Finally, there is some speculation that the V-effect isn't Russian at all. Some believe the CIA found the technology in a crashed craft and blamed the Soviets as a cover story to allow for open research on human subjects. There is significant speculation that the redacted files hide a Plan C, where the V effect would be used to broadcast demonic voices into the homes of political dissidents to drive them to madness or suicide. A common conspiracy theory suggests the V effect tested on Area 51 security guards to ensure they would hear internal orders even if their radios were jammed or disabled. Some researchers speculate that the black bars hide the sleep state logs, the theory being that the V effect is most effective when the subject is dreaming, allowing for in-dream programming. There is a theory that the redactions hide the animal speech experiments, speculation that the CIA tried to use the V effect to give voice commands to sharks or dogs by vibrating their skulls remotely. Finally, some speculate that the V effect redactions hide the Universal Translator Project, where the agency tried to use microwaves to bypass the ears entirely and put the meaning of words directly into the linguistic center of the brain. There is intense speculation that the redacted V effect files hide the Manchurian pulse, a theory that a specific microwave frequency could remote control the motor functions of a human body, making them walk or move against their will. Some theorists speculate that the black bars hide the ghost in the machine logs, where test subjects reported seeing visual apparitions alongside the voices, suggesting the V effect also stimulates the visual cortex. A persistent conspiracy theory holds that the redactions in the domestic surveillance section hide the fact that the CIA used the V effect on the leaders of the 1960s civil rights movement to sow paranoia and distrust within their inner circles. There's speculation that the V effect was used to manufacture hauntings in the homes of Soviet spies living in the U.S., using the voices to drive them to turn themselves in to the FBI. Finally, some speculate that the redacted V effect files describe cross-dimensional resonance, the theory that the microwaves weren't just vibrating the skull, but actually tearing small holes in the fabric of space-time through which voices from elsewhere could be heard. Was the investigation into the V effect a success? Scientifically, yes. It proved that the Frey effect could be weaponized. Operationally, it was a strategic stalemate. While the Soviets used it to harass American diplomats, the CIA realized that the high power requirements and the distorted quality of the sound made it a poor tool for actual mind control. However, it paved the way for every directed energy weapon in the modern arsenal. The V effect left a lasting echo in the agency's vault of operational and technological breakthroughs, such as microwave auditory induction. The CIA mastered the thermoelastic physics needed to generate sound at a distance into a person's skull. Non-lethal deterrence. The V effect led to the development of the active denial system, the microwave heat ray used for modern crowd control. Bioelectromagnetic shielding. To protect their own, the agency developed specialized copper-lined rooms and lead mesh fabrics to block V2K signals. Neural signal analysis. The research helped the CIA understand how the brain processes auditory information, leading to breakthroughs in silent interrogation techniques. The Soviet V effect method reminds us that the most private place on Earth, the inside of your own skull, is just another frequency to the CIA. Thanks for listening. Next time we're going to examine Project ORAN. The agency needed to see inside Soviet naval yards, but satellites weren't enough and U-2 planes were being shot down, so they turned to a World War I relic with a high-tech twist. Pigeons. We'll look at the secret avian operatives trained to carry micro cameras and fly through the Iron Curtain. Join us for the bird's eye view next time. In the meantime, I'll see you in the archives.